Let me ask you a question. How much of your fertility journey now feels like a never-ending amount of effort? Trying hard each month, tracking your cycle, taking every supplement that you've been told will help you get pregnant. I found on my own TTC journey that the more I did, the more I pushed and reached, and the harder I worked, the worse things got for me. It took a lot longer than I wanted, but along the way, I learned that getting to the place that you want to be isn't about being more disciplined. It's not about having more willpower. And it's definitely not the person who wants it more or tries the hardest who gets to where they want to be on this journey. So what we're talking about today on the podcast is that energy behind trying. The energy of trying endlessly versus that energy of receiving. And this is not about doing less or pretending that what you want doesn't matter. It's about understanding that subtle shift that changes how your body feels, how your mind responds, and ultimately how you move through this entire journey when you drop into that energy of receiving. And once you feel it, you won't want to do it any other way. Welcome to your journey to fertility. This is the podcast that blends science with spirit to give you all the tools you need as you navigate your fertility journey. I'm your host, Jennifer Edmonds, and for the last 15 years, I've been helping women on their journeys to motherhood and beyond. I believe that combining the latest scientific research along with the best energetic and mindset practices will help you to avoid putting your life on hold and bring you closer to your baby. Each week, you'll learn ways to support your fertility and trust your body so that you can stop stressing that you'll never have your baby and finally walk your path to motherhood. This is the Your Journey to Fertility podcast. Hello and welcome back to the podcast. Thank you so much for being here with me today. And thank you once again for everyone in your patience in getting this podcast out. We had to miss our regular scheduling last week due to some technical issues. There are a bunch of planets in retrograde right now, so I'm going to blame it on that. But everything is now sorted and back to normal. So business as usual. I'm really excited for today's episode because I love this topic. And mostly because it was something and still is something that I am very bad at. But when I do take the time to put what we're going to talk about today into practice, the flow-on effect that it has on every area of my life is amazing. And it has been something that has served me well beyond my years and my time of trying to conceive. So maybe you can relate to this. This scene that I have so, deeply ingrained in my mind where I remember just lying in bed late at night, scrolling about symptoms and treatment options and, the moment you received more test results from your doctor and what did you immediately do? You start analyzing them and scrolling forums and asking Google or ChatGPT like endless questions in every possible way. Maybe you keep replaying something that your doctor said to you on repeat or something that somebody said to you that triggered you. Because that was a million times over for me when I was struggling to conceive. It was my day-to-day life. Because in those moments, you think that you are being proactive. You think that you are covering all your bases. You are trying to find out as much information as you can so you can make the best decision to make sure you get pregnant as soon as possible. But what if that moment is actually where you are stuck? It is where your nervous system feels safe. When you are in that chronic control mode, which as we know, translates into chronic survival mode for your nervous system. I remember at the very beginning of 2020, we were planning for another IVF cycle. And I look back now and I cannot believe how much of my life was dictated by trying to conceive. It was everything. The moment I woke up, it's like, okay, what are we going to eat? What stage of my cycle am I in? What seeds do I need to add to my smoothie? And look, side note, I know seed cycling can be really helpful for a lot of women, but far out, it stressed me out and it did not work for me. But that's just one example of many. I was so careful when I was at work. I would really think about, gosh, what exercises am I going to demonstrate? What do I need to avoid? And I'd been teaching Pilates for like 15 years at this stage. It's not like demonstrating one exercise was going to hurt me. I would be rushing to appointments after work, carefully planning out all my meals at home, telling my husband that we couldn't go out for dinner because I didn't know if they'd have enough things on the menu that were fertility friendly. And my God, I am exhausted just thinking about this. Now you can hear it in my voice. I am already dysregulated. And on top of all of this, I had the worst insomnia. I was miserable. I never went out with my friends anymore. I was honestly a shell of the person that I used to be. This energy of trying completely consumed my entire life. It was my whole identity. And it made everything else in my life harder, and it made me miserable. It affected my relationship with my husband, with my daughter, with my career and my friends and my family. And like you can probably relate, it really takes over everything. So if that resonates with you at all, and hopefully you're not as crazy as I was, but honestly, this journey does make you insane sometimes. So what I want to talk about today are the true realities that can exist here at any one time. There are two versions of how you can approach this. And yes, I truly believe it is a choice, and it is one that I eventually was able to make. You can be in that trying energy, controlling, urgent, analytical. What else should I be doing? What can I be doing more of? Am I doing it more perfectly and enough? That energy of trying is one way to get through it. And I did that on my first fertility journey, and I did get there in the end. But I don't think that it set me up for a particularly healthy journey the second time around. And it certainly didn't set me up for, an easygoing pregnancy or an experience of new motherhood. Then I think that it will set you up for so much of what is possible ahead of you as well. So what I want to speak about today is coming into that energy of receiving instead. The energy of receiving is grounded, supported, less frantic. It's about saying to yourself, I'm doing what I can, I'm doing enough, and I'm okay right now, just in this moment. And what we want is for you to be able to shift out of that controlling energy and into that space of allowing, where everything starts to feel possible again. And that may feel impossible to you right now. You're listening to me like, yeah, that sounds great, Jen, but how on earth do I get there? I got you. We're going to get to that. Because sitting in this energy of receiving, of knowing that what you want is on the way, is going to make every other part of your life feel better in the meantime as you're waiting for your baby. Now, you know that you are stuck in this energy of trying. You might already be listening to me like, yep, that's me. But you'll know you are in this place of trying and pushing when you keep telling yourself, I'm behind, I'm running out of time. You feel like you can't switch off your brain. Every decision just feels very high stakes. And you constantly tell yourself, I think I'm doing this wrong. This is that trying energy of pushing, grasping, and reaching. It feels hard and it feels desperate. And there is no shame in any of this. We just need to name it. We need to acknowledge that it is there, because awareness is always the first critical piece in being able to shift and change things around. So instead of saying to yourself, this is bad, or I've been doing it wrong, or what is wrong with me, I want you to validate it. Of course you are here. Of course you are doing everything the best that you possibly can. Your brain is trying to protect you. That trying energy is a safety mechanism, and it's not about failure. It is not a mindset issue. It is a physiological response that your body and your brain have had to what it perceives as a threat or danger. And as we know, our nervous systems, they're not going to understand the difference between I'm terrified that I'm never going to have my baby and I'm terrified that there's a tiger over in the next room who's about to attack me. All your brain knows is that there is this threat hanging around. But once you can become aware of it, that is where you have the power to shift it. And I need to point out, there is this invisible, or not so invisible cost really, of being in this energy of trying. Because what it actually does is keeps you in this constant anticipation, of bracing for the worst, always expecting the worst news to arrive. The other shoe is going to drop, even when you get good news, you're like, no, this can't be real. This is only going to last for this long before something else goes wrong. This really disconnects you from your body, and it makes every cycle feel heavier. It is incredibly dysregulating for your nervous system. And as we know, that has such a flow-on effect to your overall health. and your fertility. You get into this place of where you stop living your life and you start waiting for it to begin. You say to yourself, I'll be happy when, I'll feel better when. So how do we shift from one energy into the other? Now, this isn't something that you're going to do really easily straight away, because remember, when you have been in this state of chronic dysregulation for a long period of time, your nervous system and your brain actually thinks that they're doing a really good job because you have survived. Your brain says, okay, well, going down this rabbit hole of analyzing and being in constant survival mode and bracing for the worst, we've survived. So we're doing an excellent job. So we're going to do what we need to keep her in this place. But when you can acknowledge that, when you can just say to yourself, there isn't anything wrong with me. In fact, this is exactly what my nervous system is designed to do. My beautiful body and brain are just trying to keep me safe. But this is where you get to make a choice. And it is a moment by moment choice. It isn't something that is like a one and done. And coming into this place of awareness, it might be as simple as when you notice your body tensing, or you notice that your mind is racing, or you're triggered over something. So when you can come into that place of awareness, recognizing something that sends you down that thought spiral, that negative thought pattern spiral, right now, in that moment, you can take a breath. You can notice where you feel tight, and you can ask yourself, what would it feel like to soften just 5% in that exact moment? Receiving energy is a felt experience. I find that a lot of this trying and doing and pushing energy, we're very much up in our heads and our body will respond accordingly. But when we can come into this energy of receiving, it really starts within the body, because our physical body needs to feel safe in order for our nervous systems to realize there is no threat. So I want you to remind yourself that you can want this baby, this journey to turn out the way that you are dreaming of, and you can still feel okay today. Nothing has gone wrong in this moment. In this exact moment, again, you can take a full breath and remind yourself that you're okay, that you are okay. You are allowed to feel supported, even here. Even now, after, I've done so much healing work over the last few years, and whenever I notice I'm going into control mode about something, it is my way of coping with stress. It is fight mode. It's, textbook fight or flight. But when I do notice that those things have happened, but when I do notice that I'm going into that state, I always try to remind myself, how can I come into that energy of receiving? So when you notice it, again, you can take a breath, you can stop yourself in your tracks, but then how do you bring that energy of what can I receive into your life? And it starts really simply. Can you take 1 minute to go outside and feel the sun on your face today? Receive the warmth that comes with that. Can you let someone open a door for you? Can you receive a compliment without immediately responding with, oh, this old thing, or, I've had this for ages? Take the compliment, say thanks, and leave it there. If someone offers to help you, let them. I am so bad with this. I realized how desperate I was for help last week when I got a message from my mum saying that she was going to come over a few days and just help out with things. And I nearly cried with relief. You can ask for help. Don't apologize for needing it. And let the people who love you be there for you. Don't apologize to them. Thank them, of course, but recognize that they want to be there for you and receive the help that they are offering. And my favorite way to receive is to create time and space for yourself. And not because what you do in that time is a fertility approved activity, but because it makes you feel good. That is the one and only requirement of doing something in that receiving energy. So ask yourself today, what is the one thing that I can do today that will make me feel 5% better? Getting into bed earlier, leaving chores for tomorrow. The laundry will still be there. Always. It's always there. Can you put your feet up, read a book, watch a funny movie? Receive that time and energy and space. Do not feel guilty or lazy. Rest is not laziness. It is a physiological requirement that our bodies and our nervous systems need. Now, I know we say we can't always live in the Delulu-verse and just float around being peaceful all the time. And once we start to tap into this energy of receiving, you are still living in the 3D world, this 3D reality, right? We need to, if we're trying to conceive, track our cycle. Maybe we need to go to appointments. We need to do what we need to do in a practical sense. That is, those actionable steps and taking aligned action, of course. But how many of these things can you do from a different place? Trusting rather than forcing, feeling grounded in your actions and trusting that you're doing enough without it feeling urgent and desperate. And I don't ever think that doing this healing work will mean that you never get triggered. I had a friend announce a surprise third pregnancy last week, someone who I've known for a very long time, and she fell pregnant really easily twice when I was trying to conceive. And now, years later, I am not trying to expand my family. I was so triggered by this. And I don't know if that will ever go away, honestly, but it was only a moment. It still came up and I still felt it, but it didn't take over my entire day. And you've got to feel these moments when they come up, when they happen. You don't push them away. You recognize that you are a human having a human experience and you're going to feel triggered. Allow those emotions, name them, acknowledge them, and then come back to yourself. As we start to finish up this episode, just a few words that I want to remind you and leave you with. You are not behind, and you are not doing this wrong, and you do not have to hold this so tightly for it to happen. I promise you, I have seen it happen over and over again. When we release some of that control, more can come in. And the goal is never to stop trying, but it is to feel safe enough to receive. So if you are still listening right now, this is what I want you to hear. You do not need to do more. I know it feels like you do. I know it feels like if you just find the right thing or the missing piece or the next step, then everything will fall into place. But right now, your body doesn't need more pressure. She needs to feel safe because the energy that you're in, it isn't wrong. It makes so much sense. As I said, you've been trying so hard, holding on to so much. And of course you get into this place of doing, but your body doesn't respond to pressure the way your mind thinks it does. Your body responds to safety, to trust, and to being supported. And right now there is that subtle undercurrent of energy, that voice in the back of your mind that says, I'll believe it when I see it, or, I'll relax when it happens, or I'll feel okay when I'm pregnant. And what we're gently shifting is asking yourself, what if I'm allowed to feel okay before it happens? You're allowed to hold this desire now without gripping it so tightly that it exhausts you. Because receiving doesn't mean that you stop caring. It doesn't mean that you stop taking action. It just means that the energy behind it starts to change. It means that you show up from a place of, I trust my body is working with me, instead of, I need to fix this. So just for this moment, take a full deep breath in, hold that breath for a moment, and then really slowly and gently let it go. Do that a couple more times and just feel how good it is to receive something as simple as that. So I hope you have found this episode helpful. I would love it if you could share it with someone who might need it. If you have found it helpful, I guarantee you there is someone else who will as well. And if you have 30 seconds to leave a quick written review or comment, no matter where you are listening to or watching this episode, that would mean the world to me as well. It helps us to get all of this information out to as many people as we possibly can. Now, next week on the podcast, I am chatting with the one and only Catherine Lazar. You may know Catherine from her social media. Her videos always stop me scrolling immediately. She is outspoken, unapologetic, and she will be on the podcast to help you navigate the grief of this journey, especially if you've been through loss, and how to cope with all of the people around you who just don't get it. So this is an episode, honestly, that you do not want to miss. So I will see you back here next week for that episode. But until then, I am sending you all of my wishes as you continue your own journey to fertility. The most common thing I hear from students who are on their fertility journey is that the stress of trying to conceive has taken over their life. Your days end up being filled with endless appointments, navigating pregnancy announcements. You're trying to eat right, take all your supplements, and it is all you think about from the moment you wake up. I designed the Element Fertility Yoga course to support your body, your mind, and your mental health in 3 important ways: to synchronize your hormones, increase circulation and blood flow, and to help regulate your nervous system. But on top of this, the greatest gift that you can give yourself throughout this journey is a sense of peace, to help you calm your mind and just make this process feel easier. Every single one of my students tell me that this is the first thing they notice after starting a yoga, meditation, and breathwork practice. But on top of this, you have the amazing benefit of actually supporting and increasing your fertility. Studies have shown that those participating in mind-body programs as they're trying to conceive have success rates 3 times greater than those who don't. The course I've designed walks you through natural conception as well as fertility treatments and IVF cycles. And the best part is you can work through it at your own pace in the comfort of your home. The practices start from just 10 minutes per day. To learn more, visit elementpilatesyoga.com or see the link in the show notes.